Wait. Now.
Hello and welcome to the Three Amigos podcast. You're here. It is 17 days into the crypto new year. All the hot things right now in the world are going on, and we want to tell you guys about them.
Can you actually see, Jeff? Are you seeing us, or is this just a prop?
Dude, I am in VR right now. I'm in the blockchain. Whoa. Okay, hold on. Wow. I gotta get out of here. That's crazy. So, what's the price of Dash?
It is moon. I mean, 226.84 cents according to CoinMarketCap.
USD. That's pretty nice, boys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. Yeah, doing great.
I remember back saying, like, this year, just like maybe in Miami, and I was like, wow, if we ever saw $100 Dash, like, that would just be nuts. Nuts. And now we're halfway to 500, and that's just crazy. Someone said that we've actually crossed a price that like Bitcoin was trading at in 2015 or something like that. I thought that was kind of a neat little tidbit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Although we're going for a correction now, I'm going to sound quite bullish. I know Core have to be careful in terms of like speculation and putting stuff out there, but I'm just going to say what I think. I can see us easily going to 300 pretty soon.
350, yeah.
Because one, we've seen the volume of Korea, but I think the dark horse is China, because there's a few articles from Bitmain today in China, and they've sold thousands and thousands of these D3 Dash miners, and they've got these huge farms. Don't underestimate China, because they play such a huge role, and we're seeing this slowly play out. And I think the more people become aware, I think that's going to play a much, much bigger role. So, yeah.
Just make sure we make great deals with them.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's put it this way. What do you guys think made the Dash price jump?
Fundamentals? The thing is, people get so...
full stop. Fundamentals. Or how about economics?
Yeah.
It was Bitcoin pulled back a little bit, and I saw a little bit of rush into Dash, which always happens, and then it just it held. And now Bitcoin is kind of dragging us down a little bit. They're at 4,100, just over.
Yeah, I mean, cut you off, Yoel, but finish your thought there.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there's a lot of coin communities that are just crazy with the price speculation. And anytime there's like something goes up, like for example, go to the Litecoin subreddit. Anytime there's a spike, people are like, "Oh, chicken arise to the moon!" Blah, they freak out. And I mean, we've rehashed this idea on pretty much every podcast, but it's funny because people always ask the Dash community for like, "Oh, why is it going up?" And there's always like, either like, "Yeah, it was bound to," or people buying Bitcoin, now they're trading down in other alts or whatever.
Or like we were talking about in the Slack yesterday. I don't know if you guys were there for Dash School 300 level course that we put on, but I think a lot of people are still learning the fundamentals of Dash. And maybe we haven't spent enough time talking about those things because I take them for granted and I'm in the system. But speaking in the Slack the other day, it was pretty apparent that some of the community members even get confused as to what exactly Dash is and what exactly Dash brings to the table that isn't available.
Yeah, it's really bad on our Dash cryptocurrency. It's all about all the hype coins. And yeah, I had to correct somebody that they had all the facts wrong. They were like, NIM was launched before Dash and all these other coins. Monero was launched before Dash. I was like, no.
Do you think it would be fair to say this may be a slightly delayed reaction to the Dash roadmap that was released? Because I think a lot of people expected big things when that came out, and it was huge, but maybe it's just taken time for people to digest and for that to circulate.
I don't think we've seen anything yet. It's just starting.
Yeah, it's probably been a little bit.
I think what we're seeing now is smart money moving and the confused and or new money just being confused and ready for exponential gains, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that hear about crypto in the news and they dump into whatever coin. And then once they're in, they start looking around. And then the people who are looking, like oh, I sent Bitcoin around. Oh, it's $5 to move. Oh, that sucks. And they look down and they're like, oh, Litecoin is like, that's like cheap Bitcoin. All right, that's good. And then they just keep looking at what's this Dash thing. It's like, oh, well, it's like instant Bitcoin. Well, that's cool. And it has like a private thing. Cool. What's the governance? Wait, it has how many people on core team? It's got what going on? Oh, okay. Well, this is interesting. I'm going to buy some of this, see what happens. I'm going to join their Slack. Oh, wait, these people are actually nice. Oh, wow. It's like, truth, justice in the Canadian way,
I think we do need more marketing. People say we have too much marketing.
Yes.
Yeah, we need more marketing to get this information out, because I don't know how many people are on the core dev team per se. I know that like there was like 60 somehow in the universe. At one time there was over 100. Yeah. Oh, let me just say this. Shout out to Dash Dude for the awesome infograph.
Yes, the top 10 misconceptions about Dash.
I got that printed actually. I got that right here.
Yeah, the top 10
Some of these are
posts
great.
on Dash downvoted
Dash
to
is
oblivion.
decentralized because of its masternodes. The government could just buy all the masternodes and control the network.
I wish they would.
The Dash price is artificially elevated. I can't even read, because so much is locked up in masternodes. Yes, that elevates the price. Good call. Private send isn't private because the masternodes could spy on the network.
Yeah.
Okay. Dash has poor privacy because private send transactions are not mandatory. Ooh. Oh, my favorite, number 6. Dash is an Instamind scam.
Yes.
Never heard that before.
Never talked about that. It's a scam because a huge amount of Dash is owned by only a few people.
Provably false, but sure.
Okay. I'm just looking at this chart. I like the chart. We have a pretty good distribution. Dash has few developers and very little activity on GitHub. Interesting. And it's a Ponzi scheme. Well, all of digital currency is a Ponzi scheme. We all know that. And it's just a marketing gimmick. And here we are talking about how we need to do more marketing.
Yeah, all the coins that used to criticize us for marketing, now they're all like into marketing. That's like the new thing.
Well, you know what? So if we haven't spent any time talking about governance, why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about how you guys have enjoyed using the governance system, and maybe tell me a little bit more about how the Dash Force crew has kind of evolved through that, because that's a pretty neat story. You guys have evolved from a very very fledgling operation to a very, very useful and I would argue almost mandatory part of the community right now. So can you guys speak on that?
Oh yeah. So if you think about it from the core standpoint, right? Every coin has some kind of development team, and it seems like a lot of other things like community and organizing and marketing and things like that revolve around that core team, right? And with Dash ecosystem, same thing, except unlike other coins, stuff that isn't being done by one group can just be done by something else officially and easily. And so that was happening. I mean, thankfully, members of Dash Core have much better things to do with their time than fight trolls online all the time. But unfortunately, that's still a dirty job that sort of had to be done, right? Shout out to Micro Dirty Jobs.
Dirty job.
Yeah, yes. We started off very small with myself, Tap Tao, and then Splalek. I was going to ask, I didn't ask Splalek, I assumed because he was on core, but he volunteered, and I've actually reached out to pretty much everyone. I don't know if I reached out to you, Coin Gun. Did I?
I don't recall it.
Force early on?
No.
Yeah, because I remember you from the old Slack. I remember on the old Slack when I first really got in there, you were like the only voice of sanity. And I was like, what the hell's going on in there? And I sent you a private message.
And that's a scary thought to think that I'm the sane voice.
You know what I'm talking about, though. It was crazy there.
I do remember. What was
meant is you were sane, but you were also one of the few voices. All the other sane people just didn't talk, didn't engage, and you were there engaging.
but we started off really small, and then whenever it slowly grew, and then whenever the price like went crazy, it was like in the first month, and so I had a lot of extra Dash, and I just started expanding the team, and it's grown into what it is now. And we've kept on doing that. As the price goes up, we've just scaled. I try to scale with the budget we had, because I had a huge budget. I was like, what the hell am I going to do with all this Dash? And so we just scaled as fast as we could, and it's worked out.
And I think like one of the common things is communication that gets dropped. And one of the things I've really been impressed with you guys, that I guess maybe I see more than the other parts of the team, the other community members, is how hard you guys are working behind the scenes. And maybe someone could speak on that. Like Mark, you were just telling me about some of the translation stuff you're doing, and like, God, I didn't even think you could speak another language. So what's the deal there?
Well, basically we have a team of 7 translators. So apart from excluding English, we translate the website into 5 other languages. And I've managed the translators. So basically they translate the work, and then basically I have to upload it to the website and all that sort of stuff. I do the images and all that sort of stuff. And then also as well, they do a fantastic job, but it's kind of like a spider web that trickles down, because each language has about 3 or 4 different social media channels for those languages as well. We're really trying to grow an outreach, which brings it back to your original question about Dashforce. We were just talking about the 10 misconceptions of Dash, and really that's kind of how it first started. I mean, me and Brian, I think actually all of us were answering those questions in YouTube comments and everything. That's kind of what brought us together. But Dashforce essentially is solving problems that the community want resolved. So at the time it was people spreading disinformation, FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt everywhere. And then it was, we were running business competitions within the Slack channel. So when Dash brought on new partners, say like Bitfinex, Wall of Coins, we were tipping and working with them to help generate business and create liquidity and new business providers to help Dash. So really, we just see what the problems are and listen to the community, what they want, and then we try our best to facilitate and deliver on that. So it's born out of necessity, really.
Yeah, Mark and Joel, when we had, I don't remember, one of the contests, it was right before one of the Bitfinex contests, I believe. But yeah, they were in the Dashforce, was the old Dashforce Post.
Yes,
doing tips and stuff. Yeah, they were just hustling every day, posting articles and stuff, and they were eating up all my tips. And I was like, man, these guys are crazy. I was like, it's going to be cheaper just to bring them on and have them participate, and then it just, yeah, and then it's grown into what it has.
So well, and I guess what I was going to say, sorry, go ahead with your fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact from back in the day when people talk about like all this, when I decided to go all on cryptocurrency was at late 2015, and then early this year I was trying to get back into Dash and all that. Like I got so obsessed with Dashforce stuff, so obsessed with doing stuff, the Twitter comment wars all over the place, that like I forgot to like write enough articles and stuff to make rent that month. And so I literally had to sell. So I had to use my Dashforce tips to make rent one month.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's literally, I was there. I was like living on the edge, just too obsessed to like make a living.
It's like $7 Dash or something. Oh, man.
Yeah, but then it went up. If it didn't go up, I would have been screwed.
We call that the FOMO, the FOMO. And I guess what I wanted to just touch on is that sometimes what we see as the community about Dashforce is just that sort of like, I almost want to call it the Dashforce iceberg, because we're seeing, you know, this tiny little bit every day, but so much more is happening behind the scenes. And that's why I just wanted to thank you guys for all your service that you do for us as, you know, just Dash Core and the community, because you guys are kicking butt, and it's a pleasure to just be even associated with you guys.
Oh, no. You're going to make me blush.
No, Mark is probably the least seen, although he does have his thing now, but he is one of the hardest workers in Dashforce for sure. But yeah, he's the least seen and the hardest worker. Yeah, that's just it is.
Yeah,
let's move on. Something else. What's up? What else is going on?
Bitcoin Cash is up.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash price.
90 is it, Bill?
Let's see what it is. Consult the price. It is
76.90.
What?
Yeah. Do we want to talk about why?
Yeah, I have a lot of theories as to why.
You want to start?
Yeah. So, first off, it's it's finally profitable to mine it, right? When the chain split initially occurred, the difficulty was much too high for it to be profitable for the small amount of hash rate. So it finally adjusted. So now it's profitable to mine, which means the network will continue to run, etc. The other thing is it was subjected to one would call a spam attack, although that's kind of a nonsense term if you ask me. But a large rush of transactions.
They used the network a bunch.
Yeah, they sent Bitcoin around.
Oh, you don't do that. We don't want to do that.
Terrible. Yeah. Heaven forbid we use a blockchain to
We need an advisory. We will be sending some Bitcoins around. Everybody.
Yes. So the transaction load, I think it went up to 135,000 transactions in a 24-hour period. Contrasted to on August 1st, Bitcoin's transactions are 131,000. So it did a greater network load than Bitcoin had earlier. And the fees were under a penny per transaction. And during that same transaction load, Bitcoin itself was $1.60 per transaction. And so it was that big validation of the big block. Can we do big blocks? And there was a few 4 megabyte blocks. There was a 5.5 megabyte block. There was an 8 megabyte block. So it was a proof of concept of all this. Handwave, we can't scale on chain. It's all this. Again, speaking strongly in personal opinion here, all this nonsense that we've been forced to deal with over the last few years about Bitcoin can't scale on chain. We need off chain scaling. Just don't raise the block size. Who cares about the fees? It's just all that stuff got kind of disproved to a certain extent, at least for a short to midterm. Yes, Bitcoin can scale absolutely on chain through just bigger blocks. And that was that sort of that proof of concept is now, why? Well, everything didn't go to hell as soon as Bitcoin Cash had these big blocks and stuff. So why can't Bitcoin itself do that? And so there you go. It's a proof of concept of the big block strategy. And Dash is also ascribing to a similar massive on-chain scaling strategy. It sort of validates Dash's roadmap.
Yes. Well, I did send. I had bought some Bitcoin at Coinbase to shapeshift into to Dash, and I sent it yesterday. Yeah, it was $3 for the transaction.
Yeah, I think it's still way too early. It's still speculation stage because people don't know where it's happening. They don't know where they stand. So there's a lot of uncertainty still. But I think to gravitate back towards what Jeff was currently saying about governance, and also Joel touched on this as well. Bitcoin's kind of being the gateway drug into the crypto sphere, and until recent events, when people actually get to use it, the practicality, whether they're talking to their friends or the slow transaction times, for a long time, for years, the consensus issue was going crazy. Or if you had Litecoin, there was just zero development at all. It was like a glorified doorstop. So I think people started to explore from that and look at different options. So I think now people are just seeing how things play out. But ultimately with Bitcoin Cash, if I had to choose one of the two, just in terms of fundamentals, things that I like, it would be Bitcoin Cash over Bitcoin. However, it doesn't have the governance. It still has the elephant in the room is governance, and they can't resolve that. So for me, so Bitcoin Cash for me is just it comes down to them is marketing, because they can only really pump it through marketing. Otherwise, they're going to fall victim to the same problems that Bitcoin did originally. So scaling's only one small pillar to the big piece of the pie. So
yeah, it's interesting. The Dash has governance by money and voting, right? Governance by what gets paid from the treasury, and Masternodes vote with, ostensibly with their money, right? They vote based on how invested they are in the network, and then the votes are final. You just vote, and it's over. It shuts down debate pretty much at that point. It's just that's it. It's written in the blockchain now, right? And it's funny because this has been such a messy divorce on Bitcoin side, just been so much fighting and slinging and stuff. And for example, Roger Ver just tweeted a couple hours ago about the miner profitability thing, saying Bitcoin Cash is, look how cool it is and all this stuff. And you just look at there's so many, I'd assume, paid trolls all over the place saying stuff like, here's one that's like a tweet that just summarizes the whole mess. Some username of BitPay is a scam. And the backstory behind that is BitPay is behind SegWit 2x, the compromise, right? And the idea behind that is, oh well, we just want we want SegWit without the increase, right? So anyway, the user BitPay is a scam says, "Oh, you still yapping?" Hashtag autistic child watch. That's a very typical comment that just goes around in all this kind of. It's pretty sad. And what happens when people disagree with Dash on things, right? At some point, there's a vote, like, should we increase the block size to 2 megabytes? Everyone voted yes, and like almost no one voted no, and that's kind of where it landed. And at that point, there's no more fighting, there's no more trolling. It's just accept it or move on to another coin kind of thing.
Yeah, we don't even need the 2 megabyte blocks right now. One thing that I saw somebody mention, I think it might have been in Slack or Reddit, and I have to agree with them, is that I would like to hear what Jeff thinks about this. We need to put more of a priority on the interest-bearing savings account. I would like to see that come much faster, because who cares if we have, giant blocks if we don't have the transactions to fill them and the people. I think if we have the interest-bearing accounts, that's going to draw so many people, and then we can actually fill these giant blocks that we're planning on doing. If not, I don't see how we're going to fill the blocks that we're on the roadmap. It just doesn't seem, I don't know that we're going to need that big of blocks unless we get more people and more transactions. Evolution, yes, will help. But I think that interest-bearing savings account and the voting rights is huge. I would like to. Last time I looked, it was like 2 years out, which I wish we would hire another team to get that on or figure something out. Yeah, but
no, I think you guys got to understand about how some of this code gets built, right? Is that we can't just make exponential leaps and bounds before the code base is ready for that. And so a lot of this maturity from the roadmap that's been developed, in my opinion, is us being realistic with how fast we can build out and test this stuff on mainnet and make sure that it all works. Because yeah, it's great, we all want it, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be accomplished on chain and off chain for that to work. So I'm not saying that these things aren't really important, but I just want to remind everybody that adding another team doesn't mean that your code base can scale properly and it can all work together. So some of these things are just going to take a little bit of time. And what you should remember is that the better we build the foundation of the product, the faster all of the next steps can happen. And that's the big thing. Once we push 12.2 out and we get ready to see the 12.3 and beyond, you're going to see the pace of everything pick up, in my opinion, because all this foundational stuff is going to be dealt with, and it's going to be solved. So let us not forget.
Yeah, I know it's going to be. That's just, I don't know anything about coding really, and I can imagine that's going to be a nightmare to do. But it's such a killer feature, and it would bring so many people in. I feel we're losing people to that when they're looking at other coins for doing their staking and this and that, just looking to make a little, something, because people can't afford Masternodes anymore. Your average Joe can't, and the trusted shares are cool, but they are still trusted. The trustless interest-bearing accounts are such a killer feature.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's unnoticed. Like, if you look at the history of our dev team, what you'll notice is that a lot of the decisions have been made with proper economical incentives. And so, Ryan, our CEO, more than anybody knows how important, these types of things are in terms of connecting to and really, building that relationship with our end users, right? And so we want that stuff to all be right before we push it out, because it would be horrible if it's not. And when people get antsy about people finding other spaces to go than Dash or something, I always like to remind them, like, we just want their money inside of this whole space. There's like money in and there's money out. And as long as you have money in this system, you can freely move between whatever coin catches your eye. And so for me, I don't care where they end up right now. I want to see them embrace the digital space, embrace, what I'd like to call can you see that? Blockchain generation, boys. That's us, man. We are the blockchain generation, and let's all embrace it. Let's figure out all these bugs, just like we work together to fix the internet and scale routing and scale BGP and all these technologies that had to scale for the internet to work. Now we all use it. The whole world uses it. All the different countries use it. We all use it differently. Let's just figure that out with blockchain, and let's get this show on the road.
No, that's a great point. What is the deal with these atomic swaps? What is that about?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, well, it's, I think 10x is pushing it. I've heard it and talk about it. It's basically the chains talk to each other somehow. I don't know either. It's
like a way of doing transactions across different blockchains. That's as far as my knowledge of the subject goes.
All I know. Yeah.
It seems like we're getting into this time now. It's sort of like back in the day when big businesses used to run, like kind of before the cloud, every big business had brick and mortar hardware in their data centers. And then they realized that, wow, it's really expensive to run hardware. And, we need this other thing, and maybe we need some virtualization. And it's almost seems like that's what's coming now, is there's so much fragmentation in the space. There's so many people pushing every different way that, there's almost an area now for, I guess we're seeing it a little bit in the multi-coin wallets, the companies like Jax, where they're really expanding their portfolio and giving you that feel, right? But yeah, there's definitely some glue that needs to bond this all together. And I don't know what that's going to be or what that even needs to be. But I just want to welcome everybody to this digital currency space. And we're all in here together. We're all, pushing the boundaries of what can be done just with source code and money. And it's really exciting. And so I don't really get too worried about where people are in the space. I just want them in the space. I think that's just so important. Like, let's get them in the space. Let's let them read about it. Let's let them learn about it. And that's what we've realized too, is that's pretty hard. Like, I get people texting me constantly, saying, what's this, or what's that, or I don't understand this, or what do you mean? What do you mean fork block Bitcoins could be worth more than Bitcoins that have been moved after the fork? Like, with all these sorts of things, like, there's a lot of stuff we all need to learn about blockchains. And I'm just really excited that we're all here together to share it. Man, if you own anything of anything right now, if you own 0.1 of anything, you're an early adopter. Like, let's face it. We're all early adopters. Let's stop making quick money and make some good money, and maybe some of my damn rational decisions can play out, because I'm getting annoyed making money off all these stupid irrational decisions that should never play out.
Well,
yeah, it's still the early space.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. I would really like to see the shares in Evolution prioritized, because I do think that is a good entry point for a lot of people. However, one interesting thing was Joel did a fantastic interview a while back with Evan, and he mentioned in that interview that he would be prepared, if the community wanted it, that he would be willing to work with both Slarwick 21 and Mookalmoo and any service provider of the Masternode Supershares. So for those watching, I'm sure most of you are already aware, but that's, instead of having the 1,000 requirement for a Masternode, a share is 25 Dash. So yeah, I don't know if any further conversations have been had regarding that, but if that's the way to streamline it and push the movement forward on that front, I would really, really like to see that. But just another curveball, because we're saying like everyone needs to do their research, and they should. But if Dash is meant to be the mainstream solution for everyone to use, is it really essential for them to know how everything works? My granny can use a car, a microwave, online banking, but she doesn't have to know how an engine works or a microwave works. If it's meant to be intuitive and easy to use, then people shouldn't really have to know every single fundamental nitty-gritty detail.
And I don't think we can expect that the general populace that scales is going to, but everybody in this space right now can we all just at least learn how a blockchain works and learn what that is? Because it doesn't seem like everybody's gone to Dash school and they're buying these things that they think are coins, and they're like a security that's being released on top of another blockchain, and they don't even understand that. They're just like want the quick money, and it gets so infuriating.
Yeah, Jeff had a great point about once you're in the space, it's in the future, it's gonna become easier and easier to switch from coin to coin. And I think as long as we stay in the top 10, yeah, I don't think we have anything to worry about. People will just move right in as soon as we have the interest bearing savings account and stuff. But I did want to say something about what Mark said. The voting, I think what Evan was talking about, somebody can clarify, was just the voting part, not necessarily the interest part, but just the voting. I'm concerned about both, or the sooner the better. But yeah, I can imagine it's going to be not easy to build that out. Well,
I've only been able to spend some time with Evan a few times, and what I have to say is that he's the master of, building something so architecturally well that you kind of get things for free. And so what I mean by that is when he designed and implemented private send, or what used to be called,
dark send,
whatever it was, yeah, dark send or mixing, whatever, however you want. It's gone through so many names. But when that was developed, it was developed with something as simple as just collateralizing a single wallet. Like, a lot of people don't realize that there's just one fundamental thing that makes Dash different than Bitcoin and all those things. And it's just something as simple as the ability to collateralize a wallet and prove that collateral's there. Full stop. Something that simple. But what did it lead to? First, it led to mixing. And then we kind of got for free instant send.
Yeah.
For free, right? It just already did this. And Evan's like, oh, what else could it do? So when I heard his comment, and this is me personally, when I heard his comment and thought about him saying that, throwing that out there, something we hadn't heard, I tend to think that there's probably some pieces of the code that he's seen getting developed. And he's probably thinking about the fact that we could just add this on top or build an extra layer or this or that. And so again, it's just my own personal opinion on that, but I get kind of excited, and I don't worry too much about these things because, we have had a track record of doing that. We've had a track record of building one service that then ends up turning into two services.
Yeah, I can guarantee that's the case because I've looked at the Masternode locking feature, and the same way that it happens with instant send, so much can be done with that particular feature. I mean, that is a killer feature, just locking in and
what happened with quorums, right? Just what we've done with building quorums. We used to have this central server that kept the Masternode list, and it was a key, and only Evan controlled the list. And if the server ever went offline, no Masternodes would get paid or whatever. And it was a centralized piece to start, but it turned into this amazingly decentralized concept where these quorums of Masternodes get to vote on things. And now we're starting to use it for really, really cool features inside of that incentivized tier. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see more and more things happening in that layer that aren't going to be happening in the normal layer, right? And I kind of think of it like, if you think of like a superset and a subset, or like you've got the entire Dash ecosystem in this bubble, right? And then inside of that bubble is another little circle, and that's all the masternodes, and they're providing the service. But there's a lot of architectural things you can do when you get this set inside of this other set. And I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg, but in terms of intercommunication between the masternodes and stuff that they could do without the mainnet people even having to be involved in it. I really, really think that the foundational system that I see being put together on the back end is going to be something that is going to add a whole nother revolutionary change to this industry. And we can laugh at it in a couple years because they're still solving. They're maybe in November might have solved the first problem from back in like 2011 or 2012 scaling. We've already solved 3 or 4 other ones, and we're working on the next level, right? So, God, I'm so excited for this fall rally. It's got to happen.
Well, the trolls have always said too, oh, yeah, Evan can't do this. Evan can't do that. There's no way he can do it. And just arguing for days and days and hours about why Evan's not going to be able to do this and not going to be, and he pulls it all off. So,
yeah, and let's look. I mean, Evan's fantastic, but we've got some other great people within the core team as well. I mean, when Evan kind of before Dash Labs kind of took the advisory, took a step back, just and let things play out. So much. I mean, look at Chuck Williams this week. So they're still recruiting new people for core now. So he's put out a message for 2 more UI UX developers. So anyone watching, if you know someone that's highly skilled at that, get in touch with Chuck Williams, because he did a few tweets about that. So yeah, the core team is expanding, and last time there was a number, I think it was around 65, 66, but then after the Q2 summary call, they brought on like HR managers, new project managers. So I imagine it's probably in the 70 numbers right about now. So it's one big network, and with each passing week, I'm having new conversations with new people, and every day is just like talking to people about new exciting stuff. It's just like the news. You can't keep up with it. Here's one question that I think the community will rightfully have. Do any of you have a Trezor? Because that's been a big issue of the week, and there may be people worried about that. I haven't had a chance to read the articles about it because it wasn't directly Dash related, because it was a security vulnerability, but I don't know the details of it. Out of you guys, who's the best to talk on this? Any of you have a Trezor?
Probably Jeff. I just got one in the mail today. Mine just came in the mail today. It's for the Dash Force funds. But yeah, there was a security. I think it's been patched. And even if you had it passphrase protected, then it didn't matter anyways. It was still safe. Jeff probably knows the most.
Yeah, I just wanted to verify the, just want to look it up here.
1.52 is a new release. It was a patch from, it was a hack that they had. Yeah. But yeah,
the biggest thing that I take right away from the security expo or the release is that an attacker would need physical access to a disassembled Trezor device with uncovered electronics. It is impossible to do this without destroying the plastic case. If your device does not leave your presence, your coins are safe. Moreover, if you have a passphrase that is enabled and actively use it, your coins are safe. But this is a good thing. Let's talk a little bit about wallets, and let's talk a little bit about security, because I think a lot of people don't take this stuff seriously enough. And I've been talking with a few of my associates and friends recently about that. And I like to just start with the fact that, we all are embracing the fact that digital currency or cryptocurrency is going to allow us to become our own bank. But the fact of the matter is banks spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year on security and infrastructure, and that allows them to keep all of our funds safe. And so I always like to say to these people, before you're willing to even get started in cryptocurrency, are you willing to invest in your own digital security? Because if you're going to become your own bank, if you're going to become your own thing, and you're going to do all this yourself, you got to take that for serious. You got to know, when I ask you where are your keys, you got to know where your keys are. If I ask you, did you back them up? You got to know. If I ask you, do you have your passphrase? You got to know your passphrase. This can't be like your Facebook password and this other stuff where you don't know. Go out, buy yourself a $100 little fireproof box or $50 fireproof box. Buy yourself a notepad so you can keep your notes in it, and make your notes, make all your stuff. And let's start taking this seriously. If we're going to be our own banks, let's be our own banks. Whether it's hardware, whether it's software, however you decide, jump into Dash Nation. There's a million people that would love to help you, but I think we need to start with just talking a little bit about security, because if we're going to be our own bank, we got to take that a little bit more seriously.
Evolution will help a lot with that. Evan had talked about the 2-factor authentication, and then there's that new thing that's going to happen within the wallet.
The fingerprint.
Yeah, that's
people
cool
don't
too.
like the fingerprint, but
it's optional. It's optional.
Well, that's the thing about this whole deal about controlling your own funds, about privacy, all these sorts of things. People try to think about that as a protocol level code kind of thing of, well, is X cryptocurrency private? Is it decentralized? And not is it structured in such a way that people's behaviors around the coin make the user experience that way? For example, Bitcoin, completely decentralized, one could say. You hold your own private keys, you control your own funds, or do you if you're using Coinbase because it's too hard to use, right? If you're using Coinbase, you're defeating the purpose of Bitcoin to a certain extent as far as that holding your own money. You're using a Bitcoin bank, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to remember that that's one of the primary things of evolution is it allows you to have that raw Bitcoin type experience with the polish of using a service like Coinbase. In other words, it's going to make the vast majority of users actually use the features of controlling your own funds. And same thing with privacy, right? If in order to do any kind of privacy, like say you have a privacy coin, I'm not going to name an example, but whatever. Say you have a fully encrypted, always on privacy coin. What if you can't buy it for cash anywhere? What if you can't buy it directly almost anywhere? You have to buy it for Bitcoin first and then shapeshift it. What if then you need to have a full node wallet to send anything? What if you have to download like a terabyte blockchain? What if you, all this kind of stuff, eventually you're not going to be, no matter how private it is, you won't take advantage of that fact because it'll be just too hard. And that's why, from what I understand, of course, we're talking a lot about evolution, which is a thing that it isn't real yet, right? Very soon, right? But you'll be able to just move some funds into your cash balance and it'll be automatically mixed, and then you can just send them privately anywhere. And that makes it a very much stronger privacy coin than, for example, anything else, just on the fact of it'll be so easy to use the privacy features.
Yeah, I think so many people hold their coins on places like Poloniex, or however you say it, Polo. And unlike Jeff, they don't really download all these other, the wallets and actually try them out. So they have no idea just how bad they are. I don't really care about most of the other coins, but from what he said, they're horrible interfaces. And people don't realize that because all their coins are on some centralized exchange somewhere.
I think half of them haven't even used the core wallets from some of these coins, like literally. Yeah. And it was never more, appropriate when I like downloaded. I think I did half of the top 10 or whatever the top 10 was that day, and tried to get the wallets working. I think by the end of the day, I had like one working, and I think that was the Dash wallet, and all the other ones where I'm still fighting with nodes, or I'm fighting with peers, or I'm fighting with the size of the blockchain, or I can't find a bootstrap, or I can't find an active dev community, or the wallet was released 5 years ago, or like all these things that like you literally look at that and you're like, this coin is worth whatever dollars. Someone's texting me about what is so-and-so coin, and my literally reaction is like, I've never heard of that. And they're like, well, it's in the top 10. And I'm like, I've never heard of it. It's in the top 10 and I've never heard of it. And I spend waking hours on machines with screens everywhere, and I've never even heard of that. And then I texted my friend this morning, because we wake up and the charts are big. We're texting each other and I'm like, OMG, what the fuck? And then I realized, oh, he's going to be confused. He's probably going to think I'm talking about some other cryptocurrency and not just, oh my God. And now it's just like, man,
yeah,
I want some sanity back. Can we have a New Year's resolution as some sanity?
Yes. One thing to keep in mind with all the market cap fluctuations and everything, a couple things. First, people use Bitcoin. And other than that, pretty much most cryptocurrencies are just speculation. I mean, Dash is making some good inroads. There's almost 300 businesses around the world that take it. A lot of Bitcart had over $100,000 of volume. People shopping on Amazon with Dash last month. But other than that, like most cryptocurrencies just aren't used. It's all speculative. So if it's all speculative, it doesn't have to actually be worth the money that it's worth. And the other thing is, there's something that I wrote this article about the top cryptocurrency, how they compare with fees. And then someone kept on jumping in. What about NEM? You didn't include them. What about IOTA? You didn't include them. And then I was going to come up with some like nice, succinct, politically correct sort of thing. And then Brian just comments, yeah, they didn't show up when I put on the shitcoin filter. And the shitcoin filter was not mineable, exclude not mineable and pre-mined coins. And there's a reason for that, right? Because if you make 100 million units of a coin out of dust, all you have to do is start selling a few of them. Even if you have all of them, you just sell a few of them for like $100 each, and all of a sudden you just got like a Titanic market cap. But it's not real, because are those coins really in circulation? Are they really, out there? And for example, in the case of NEM, I think 10 addresses control like 48% of the coin supply. And it's like, well, so then there's only half that many in circulation, if that. So all these kinds of things, they can just be manipulated like at the drop of a hat. That's why mineable coins, there's some old romanticism around mining. Oh, I just got my computer and just cypherpunked myself into some money, man. There's something romantic about that, but there's something solid behind it too, which is anyone can run a little thing and get some of the coin supply. So the distribution is a little bit easier to trust, right? It's not just someone made a random thing, sold a couple of them, and now they think they're rich.
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of coins are lacking is they're not very well rounded. Dash is very well rounded. And what I mean by that is, we were talking about the wallet interfaces. You look at something like BitShares. I don't know if Jeff's had any time to mess with them, but they got a beautiful wallet and they've had it for a long time, and they use names instead of cryptographic addresses. But their community is kind of lacking. They were not a part of Bitcoin talk for a while back in the early days, and their community was kind of just gone and absent. And then you have other coins like Doge, which has a huge community and has tons of transactions, but it's a shit coin. And Dash is just kind of more, we have a little bit of it. We're very well rounded.
Yeah, I think ultimately, what is cryptocurrency trying to solve? What's the solution? It's trying to replace the legacy banking system. So why would, if you're going to become your own bank and you don't want to trust your bank, you don't want counterparty risk. So leaving all your funds in an exchange or somewhere else is counterparty risk. It's the same as having your mainstream legacy banking account. So you should do your due diligence. And we constantly see every passing month, security is a constant cat and mouse game. You remember the Bitcoin ransom stuff a few months back where they were targeting and preying on hospitals? Why was that? What was the vulnerability? It was because Microsoft wasn't supporting Windows XP anymore, and they found an exploit. So people took advantage of that. So this is the
exploit in XP.
Yeah. So this is why you need to take things very, very seriously. But at the end of the day, you have to remember, what is the solution? People refer to cryptocurrency as the money revolution. Or, this is why we all originally got excited about it and wanted to get involved or ask the questions, because it is a journey of asking questions, learning about money. And I think now this is really, really essential. So I think this week with the Trezor hardware wallet sort of scare, because they were the leader in hardware wallets for a long time. So I know there's a Ledger, and what's the other one? What's the other company? We've got to be fair and balanced.
KeepKey that just got bought by Shapeshift, in fact.
Yeah, so there's three like key players there. So I see
what you did there.
Yeah, and Joel actually did a review of the Ledger, right? On the
right here.
News.
Check it out. Cool little thing. The one thing I didn't include in the review is it looks like a USB key, which I think is a security feature, because the Trezor is extremely recognizable. It just looks like a Trezor. Someone who's at all familiar with crypto is going to be, oh, that guy has a ton of money on that thing. But if I pull out one of these, it's like,
well unless it's your Trezor. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Point taken, right? But if people see a Trezor, they're like, there's going to be some money on that. People see this, like, just at this distance. They're like, oh, this is a USB key. Only when they look closer, they see it's actually like, oh, it's something different. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, Brian raises a good point about evolution, though. For me, I want everyone to use this, not just tech-savvy people. But if it's going to be for everyone, it has to reach that level. People don't think twice. It's just intuitive when they use PayPal or when they use their online banking. It's just that short learning curve of just logging in first of all and learning where the menus are and what all that stuff is. So, I know evolution is coming along down the line, but we're all excited about the Dash London conference, and hopefully there'll be more information and stuff coming out there as well. So yeah, so eventually, hopefully we won't even have to really talk about these issues. But right now, it is really important for you to take care, because you don't want to be one of those people that finds themselves losing their coins, because I'd hate to be in that dire situation. And, laptop failure, hard drive failure, even people doing transactions, you should be taking backups of your wallet regularly, especially when you do private mixing as well, right? So if you're doing mixing, you should be doing that as well.
That actually happened a few weeks ago. I just sent a large, I sent some Dash to my core wallet to then mix, and then I was too tired, so I went to bed before, and it didn't register as having confirmed right away. Like the transaction didn't show up, and so I kept on waking up like every hour of the night, being like, "What if it all went? What if I sent to the wrong address and it's all gone?" And then of course everything was fine in the morning, but there's still like that fear of anytime you send anything significant or significant to you, right? Like, what happens if it's gone? What happens if you send it to the wrong place? What happens if there's a disruption? There's that whole experimental kind of thing that hopefully evolution changes by just saying, hey, send this much to CoinGun. And it goes, and there you go. You don't have to worry about, what if I copied and pasted the wrong thing? And that was actually, that's actually happened with some companies before. They've had obviously I'm going to have to, some of this was said in conference, I can't reveal the company, but there was a company that had a malicious developer that installed some malware that would switch out the QR codes and addresses, so that someone depositing funds would then get it deposited to something else. I mean, they caught him and got rid of him, but it's one of those things. It's like someone could just switch out the QR code with a little thing, switch out the image. You're not going to realize it, and then sorry, your money was gone. That's pretty scary.
What do you guys think about paper wallets? I saw Max Kaiser tweeted, I think yesterday, that he found an old paper wallet, one that he thought he'd lost, with lots of Bitcoin on. But we don't really hear a lot about paper wallets. So what do you guys think? Good idea, bad idea, or are they just a sign of the times?
Before we move on to that, I just wanted to say about best practices, because when you guys send transactions to a new wallet, do you always do a test transaction?
I try to.
Yeah, I usually do. Yeah.
Would you say you always do? Like, if you don't know, you just go raw, straight in there, raw dogs?
Depends on how much.
If I'm honest,
more than a couple $100, it's a test.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about that, because some people maybe don't haven't even developed those boundaries. Like, some people say if it's more than 1 Dash, I'm going to do a test transaction of 0.1 Dash, or if it's a 10 Dash, I'm going to do a 10 transaction of 10 Dash. And a lot of people also don't know that there's nothing stopping you from depositing 1 Dash first into a Masternode before you put the 1,000 in. A lot of people just go right to the 1,000, right? So
those are scary. Yeah, depositing to the Masternode used to be scary when it was in the thousands. I'm fixing to do all mine to the Trezor now, and it's really going to be scary to send those. But I always make the people who are on the Dash Force payroll, I always try to send them a little bit just to make sure they've copied everything right. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's another thing, is it's about usage. A lot of people, they get into this space and they don't use this stuff. And I always like to remind people, you need to use this stuff weekly. Even if it's just you send your buddy 0.1 Dash and he sends you 0.1 Dash, whatever, you pay a few bits of transaction fees. But if you're not constantly using this stuff, you forget it. And what makes it less scary to send a Masternode is just the fact that you send one all the time. A Masternode is no different than 10 Dash or 1 Dash if you have proper precautions, if you send a test transaction before, and then if you also need to work out the way you copy and paste addresses, I think is appropriate. You should always be doing it in the same way. So if you copy it and then paste it to Notepad and then grab it from there and then paste it in, or whatever your methodology is, it's really important that you use the same steps over and over again, because then as long as you do that, you always know that your copies and your pastes are good and all this kind of stuff.
Quick Masternode question. Well, just real quick Masternode question for Jeff. It used to be you had to send the 1,000 all in one transaction. Is that still the case, or can I send a test and then as long as it's 1,000 in that one address?
That's actually a misconception. The wallet can have funds in it before it has the 1,000 TX in it. So you can generate an address, you can send one Dash to it, and then you can send the 1,000 Dash to it, and then the 1,000 Dash send becomes the actual collateral.
Didn't it used to be way back in the day? It had to be exactly 1,000, like dark coin.
I think even when that came out, you were still able to send the 1,000 first, because I remember helping someone and they did a test transaction and that. So yeah, it's definitely a big thing. Moving masternodes from the core wallet, over to a Trezor and all that kind of stuff, and abandoning all your existing Dash core backup infrastructure to move over to your Trezor infrastructure. And then, for people that have more than one node, are they combining all their wallets together? Are they separating their wallets out? There's a lot of things to think about. And I think people need to take some time to just reflect on what they think their security precautions should be. And
I'm going to reach out to Mookow to help me move all my nodes and get everything right with it. Yeah, because I guess we've solved I thought there used to be an issue also of if you go to the Trezor, how do I get my Masternode payments off of that? I guess somehow you can go into coin control in the Electrum wallet. I guess that's all solved. You don't have to explain it. Is it solved though?
I don't want to speak directly on it because I think there's someone that's better versed in doing that, and that would be one of the guys that has been working on that actual piece of code. But the way I understand it is it's definitely coming along. It's not as friendly and nice as it could be, and so I think what we've seen those people that like to live on the edge. They maybe came from the mining sector. Those are the people that are jumping in and getting their Trezors all working already, and then there's the people who just are status quo and they don't want to mess with it, and they're just going to maybe wait until things move along a little bit smoother and we've actually got an interface for it. But there's some work to be done there. It could definitely be an improved process.
Hey, we got any questions? We're coming up right at about an hour. Any questions in the?
We just had one message, but I deleted it.
Okay.
Oh, was it yeah, up here there was someone saying like hot sexy girls, whatever. So we're getting some of those people in the chat.
Private message me on that. Yeah.
When someone said, do you accept Dash? I was half tempted to say discoverdash.com. But
yes, we'll get you listed. Let's for you in Belgium or whatever. Get them listed on Discover Dash if they take it. Get them set up with a Jax wallet,
Yeah, we've had a few people. Actually, that was one of the messages I just deleted. So it wasn't a troll. It was just someone spamming it with a lady website. So, yeah.
Yes, that's also one of the interesting things about using a decentralized service like Dash, right? Because if you have to, in order to be user friendly, if you use something like Coinbase, they block payments to, for example, gambling sites. Like I know some people who have tried to participate in gambling sites from their Coinbase wallet, and that was rejected because let's not forget, Coinbase isn't Bitcoin. It's Coinbase. It's a service. And if you have to use Coinbase to do your usual types of transactions, maybe that's a failing of Bitcoin of not being user-friendly enough at the protocol level. And then, then all of a sudden, a bunch of other economic activity just gets shut off from you, right?
Have any of you ever used any of crypto betting websites?
No.
No? Or I haven't personally, but I'm thinking with the Conor McGregor fight next week, there may be a lot of people that want to. I think there was one called Direct Bet before when we was doing the whole Dos Santos MMA thing. We're trying to get the fight on there.
It's no longer online. It's gone offline.
Is it? Oh, you're a big gambler, Jeff. You're the man to talk to.
No, I'm not. I knew this guy that did a gamble or two, and I helped him send his coins up to the site. Good friend of mine, we'll call him Hef.
F.A.
Hefe.
F.A. Yeah.
And so Hefe, he's bet on a few UFC fights, and yeah, it's interesting. But I think with the direct bet going offline, the only sites that are available are ones that you have to do proper KYC to. And Yeah. So, but it's definitely fun. I mean, it's also, you know, hey, why not just do some over the counter betting with your buddies at the thing, you know, get some D's and little wager. What did we do the other day? I played the house for my buddies. So we looked up the odds and then I gave them the odds of the house internally. And then if they won, I paid them out as the house. And then if they lost, then we drank. So that was kind of fun because we were just having fun. I don't think it's neat to show them how crypto works. So that's how I like doing it is I'll like print out 10 paper wallets and I'll give everybody like 0.1 or something at the beginning of the night. And then we all download the wallet and I take them through backing up their seed keys or whatever. And then once I give them a business card and they write their seed key on it. And then we go through that and then we just do little things like, you know, we use it to exchange money and hey, send me some. And then they're exchanging money. And so it's really cool to see that. And it's to see it with real people. Right. And to see the numbers of the Dash wallets going up, the Dash downloads, you know, it's pretty cool to see what the App Store has. I get to see the back end of the store. So it's kind of fun to see like what our stats are doing and stuff and the breakdowns. I probably can't share that stuff with you guys, but I don't want to take any of the mojo away from those marketing people, you know, and all the cool things. But what I like to do is just go in and check every couple of weeks as to how it's looking. And it's really cool to see the growth from week to week, and not only the growth, but the distribution.
Yeah. Hey, hasn't the active Masternode count gone up with the price as well? That's a really good sign. So I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I was looking at the.
It says 4,632 out of 564, 5,600. No, 4,564 total / enabled masternodes.
That's great because when I did the weekly recap a couple of weeks back, it went down to I think it was like 4,400 something. But that coincided with the whole Bitcoin Cash thing. So
yeah, guess what? All masternodes USD value combined is over $1 billion. Woo!
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so
Clap,
sexy.
clap,
sorry,
clap.
sorry. That is so sexy.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Oh,
So
sorry, I got my dog all excited there.
Just running the network, we have like $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have
Securing the network, we have $1 billion.
Yeah.
Not running it.
And the stability of it as well. That's nearly just under 2/3. So in terms of volatility and what we see on daily movements, that helps as well. So
I also like to think about the hardware, right? Like, so you say, what was that number? It was like 40. I'm not good at math, so someone get a calculator out. We'll do some math. Like, let's call it 4,600 just for fun, right? 4,600 nodes.
Yeah.
And each node it's supposed to have 2 gigabytes of RAM. Let's call it a 2 gigahertz CPU, and let's call it 20 gigabytes just because most VPS providers are sort of shizzy on the disk. So we're saying you should have if you're going to run a Masternode right now, you get about 2 gigs of RAM, about 2 gigahertz of CPU, and about 20 gigabytes of space. All right, so how much RAM do we have as a network? We got 4,600 nodes, each of them having about 2 gigs of RAM. Someone do the math. Come on, times it by 2. We got, so we're talking like 9 terabytes of memory.
Wow.
Running the network. That's pretty cool. Are we talking about 9 billion jillion gigahertz? And are we talking about 90 terabytes of potential storage? Like, when you start thinking about that, like, we are a currency. We're not trying to be the world's supercomputer.
Yeah. How does that compare to PayPal or Visa or MasterCard? We know about transaction volume, right?
Well, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize is that we're talking about scaling to the point where each Masternode becomes a data center, but we've already got a network that runs. And if you were to think of it as a big distributed cluster, we've got 9 terabytes of RAM. We've got, 90 terabytes of disk space potentially. And I'm sure my math is all wrong and some smart person is shaking his head. But
I just saw a message. I've got another female bot in the chat. Sorry.
Watch live girls now. Okay.
Nice. Live girls.
Oh, we got 2 of them.
Pay for each transaction.
They take Dash? Do they take Dash?
No, they're gone. They're gone. They
Yeah,
take a lot more than Dash, let me tell you that. But
I just
but I think a lot of people don't realize that like, you know, yeah, we have 4,600 full nodes or plus in the Masternode network, but we're talking about a potentially massive distributed supercomputer here. And these nodes aren't even required to be anything yet. Like, what about when this is like 8 gigabytes of RAM and 8 gigahertz of CPU and a terabyte of disk?
Well, what are we going to do with it?
We're going to do
that's a lot.
Processing of every transaction in the whole world on our chain. You're going to need a lot of space for that.
And more. It seems like we can do a lot more.
Right? And so that's the whole point, is that it doesn't really, because we already have the transactional security of the miners and we add to it the transactional security of the masternodes. Even if we overbuild the network so it's way bigger than it needs to be, then at least we're prepared for the scale. So if we all of a sudden find some people out in the interstellar space and they need some other currency to run their planet, hey, we got extra CPU processes. Don't you just send us some of your transactions? No problem.
So bottom line, Dash has the network bandwidth to power the aliens.
I think so. I think we do.
There we go.
You heard it here, folks.
You could definitely have a cool chat, in-wallet chat. I mean, you could send pictures. I mean, with all that space, it seems like, yeah, we could do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so now I've heard about a lot about Dash Drive because my buddy Ian's working on it. And it sounds like...
Oh, are you the reason we have Ian?
Yeah, I'm the one who hooked you guys up with him. He's been my good fun friend for a few years. And he just got back from Scotland and he was like looking for a job. And he hadn't really had... Yeah, anyway, so I sent Ryan an email. I'm like, there you go. You like Ian?
Cool. Yeah, good man. I've only interfaced with him a bit, but all of these new hires that we're bringing on, like, I can't even explain to you guys how smart these people are. It is so sick. Like, just being in the room with some of these people, everything is so out of control. You have to be careful with what you say because they're so smart that they'll read further into it and you'll actually get yourself in trouble and kind of look silly, which I do often.
Yeah, it's like talking with Moo. When I ever talk with Moo Cow Moo, there's always like, I don't know, it almost like he almost has like an edge. Like some people might think he's being a jerk, but he's really just being correct. And it just so many people are not being correct. and
it just drives like certain guys that are very in a box. It drives them crazy that you would use the improper grammar or something like that. So yeah, it's been really fun to learn all and meet all these amazingly smart people. And the pool that we are pulling candidates from like is just world class. Like I'm blown away. Like some of the stuff I see on the internet now as we onboard new users and stuff is just gives me goosebumps reading some of this stuff like that we get to be part of this team. It's pretty cool.
So with the new budget, right? The budget's been pretty massive these days. In fact,
1.5 million.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, 1.493 to be anatomically correct. But
1.487553.19.
Yeah, something like that. Approximately.
Okay, yes, approximately.
But with all that money, how many development teams from annoying competing coins could we just hire away to just say, yeah, why don't you just take a vacation? All expenses paid. And just like take out everyone's dev teams. I mean, obviously this is just, it's not at all a serious thing, but in terms of how much funding we actually have.
Why don't we go one step further and rather than fudding the whole community, why don't we develop some alliance where we all work together to make some standards interoperable and something like we've seen happen in the AI space and in the other spaces. I mean, I would way rather see that. I'd way rather see us, put this all to bed behind us and do what Dash Nation does, which is just come together, like-minded people with like-minded goals and let's just really blow this thing out of the park. I would love to see us starting to fund. I like to see the blockchain stuff with Arizona State. That's amazing. I love hearing you chew ice in the mic. That's cool.
Yeah, it's great.
And just it's just so cool to see all that stuff. It's really bad for your teeth, by the way. But
I don't care. That's how the ice life chose me.
Yeah. So no, I would like to see that. You know, I think that's some potential for sure.
God, no, I'm thinking about Icebreaker.
Oh yes. So I guess we could probably finish on some thought similar to that. For the viewers at home, Icebreaker was some fan of Monero who was a longtime troll of Dash. He's still around sometimes, mostly in the Bitcoin Talk threads. I haven't really bumped into him myself very much, but it's a good thing to remember that throughout the cryptoverse, right there, it's been such a niche community, right? So small and esoteric, and there's been just so many people fighting so hard for that little chunk, that little piece, a little pie. And how big is the world? Like, think about it. People are saying, like, there's the recent comparisons that Bitcoin is around the market cap of PayPal, right? So PayPal is just one payment processor company, right? And how many fiat currencies are worth more than all of cryptocurrency combined? How many tech companies are worth more than cryptocurrency combined? How many everything? It is such a big world out there, and we're not in it yet. We're just such a little drop in the bucket. And so many people focus on the small-minded trolling, Instamine scam, and this and that, and just fighting with each other. What happens if you actually focus your efforts on the rest of the world, right? Where do we go to from there? It's almost sort of what we started doing at Dash Force was a defensive measure to sort of keep some of the more loudmouth trolls from scaring away legitimate investors and users. But really, our hope is to obsolete that part of our job description to where we don't really need to be fighting all these trolls all the time, because the big prize isn't in the communities where the trolls hang out. The big prize is just the rest of the world. The grandmother using it, the shop down the street, just everything else. And we got so much left to grow, and I'm excited to start doing that.
I am too, and not only that, but like you look at an organization like the Rotary International, Rotary International. That's an organization that's come together on a global scale and literally eradicated polio from the entire world. And why couldn't we come together and join Justin Wren, UFC fighter, with his water4.org, water4.org, and try to get wells into places? Like, why isn't the Masternode network sponsoring 10 wells a month in some third world country where we're actually drilling wells and how are we just not generating the funds? And don't get me wrong, I'm all for not generating the funds. I'm all for us leaving it behind and stuff. But at the same time, we do need to get a little bit worldly, OL. We need to start reaching out and using some of these funds, because there's people that, we could solve the world's water problem with $1 million a month.
Yeah, I think we'll see more and more of the philanthropy once the price gets higher and higher. I mean, lots of people have made a lot of money already, but the more people that have a lot of money, they're going to be, much more willing to, be more philanthropic with, these funds and stuff. But yeah, I mean, imagine when we're at $1,000. Yeah, I mean, there's the philanthropy. Even Evans talked about it. I mean, it's definitely it's on the roadmap or whatever. So yeah, I think we'll see more and more of that.
Come on, Bill Gates.
Didn't he just donate another 16 bajillion?
Yeah, apparently so. I think it was in the million. I think it was hundreds of millions. I'm not sure it was billions though. But
I thought it was 16 billion.
But I mean, hey, he's net worth, I think it's under what the current all crypto market cap is. But him and Warren Buffett together and a few other choice people. I think actually, is it Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy? He's the the's dude now. So he's got a lot of money to be, and there's something Amazon are doing something very controversial this week, and it's to do with refunds, and apparently it's screwing over the process for a lot of other businesses in terms of returns. I don't know if you guys have seen this news, but a lot of people are talking about it. I don't know what it is or how that's going to work.
It's the little merchants. Yeah, they're basically offering. They're making them give free returns, and they're pushing them to. I guess I don't really know how Amazon works. I guess some of the little merchants send their merchandise to Amazon, the distribution centers, and then it's basically free returns. And they're complaining. The smaller merchants are saying they can't make a profit, and Amazon says, well, most of the people aren't scammers, but the little businesses say, yeah, but the ones that are scammers are going to take advantage of the system.
Yeah. And solutions, I've had less than a handful of people contact me this week all about the same thing. So for those of you that watch a lot of YouTube, you've probably seen a lot of content creators complaining that they're not getting any ad revenue anymore. And Brian mentioned BitShares earlier, but the blogging website Steam is increasing popular. We have our Dash stuff in all our languages go on Steam but there's a new video platform that runs on Steam blockchain. It's called DTube. .video is the URL. And so in the future, I'm going to be uploading videos to that as well, because I can see that getting very popular. There's lots of prominent YouTube channels that are already talking about it. I watched a video with the actual creator. It's still a lot of it's a work in progress, but apparently he copied a lot of the interface and the way it functions from YouTube. So it's very similar moving across platform. But Joel did an interview, if you remember, a few weeks back on the Press for Truth channel in Canada. Jeff will be glad to know. With Dan Dix. And actually, I watched the interview of him over a week ago, and he interviews the actual creator of it. He's German, I believe. It's very, very interesting. But these kinds of solutions and seeing how things can work, I think are going to be very, very interesting. So if people start, because we've seen a lot of people now don't like to read, they like to watch content. We've seen Steam has been very popular in blogging content, but things go to video format. Now, Brian's been banging the drum forever about like tip bots and everything. We've had tip bots on Reddit, Slack, everywhere. Now, it'd be great to get some Dash tip bots, not only on YouTube, but other platforms and stuff as well. Like, we've got unlimited options, and we should be utilizing these opportunities when they come up.
Yeah, I was just watching that Press for Truth video. Yeah, he had like $500 he had raised from that DTube thing. And one last thing about the Amazon, I think what it was they were going to have people, if the merchandise that they send costs more basically to ship back, then they're just going to say keep it for free. And that's what a lot of the little merchants were like, hey, they're just going to keep my merchandise for free. It's because of the cost of shipping. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to send some of these things back. And most people are not going to be scammers, but the scammers are just going to order stuff and then just claim whatever they want to send it back. And it's just like a couple of bucks. It's not really worth the money to send it back. So that was part of the controversy.
Okay. Well, guys, don't forget you can get 15% off Amazon.com with Bitcart. And also, I spoke to Graham just before the podcast. This weekend, they're having a complete refresh of their website. They're working on a lot of stuff. The past few weeks, they suffered from a few DDoS attacks. So it's kind of Free Amigos tradition to mention Bitcart at least once in the podcast. But yes, so they'll be scaling out in their phase 2 of their development plan. But this weekend, the whole website should be getting a complete redo. So things are going to be better. And so check it out in the next week. And business is still going strong. I believe they're still doing over $100,000 worth of business every month with Dash.
I just ordered a card the other day and it came within hours. So they're on point.
Yeah. So, and there's going to be some other fun stuff going to be announced, which I don't know, but there's going to be some cool stuff in September. And Graham and his team of 12 will be coming to the Dash conference as well. So me and CoinGunner think got some fun stuff in the works. So even if you can't make it, we're going to try and make it as fun for you as possible. So
Oh man, that thing, the thing that you were sending me the link to. Oh, if we pull that off,
well, you've got to have. We've got to have security training before you can use it. So like, I'm not sure if we can get away with that. Anyway, yeah. So
we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, don't mention anything in terms of things. I still need to run it by the two guys to make sure it's cool.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. You know,
yeah, I've got to beg and plead with Brian, as he's the Dashforce treasurer, to say, "Yo, give us the money." So, yes, we need this. The community needs this. So
it sure does.
No
and if
pressure,
not, we'll just
Brian.
find a way to buy it online.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got lots of stuff to go. So we're still learning about the events. It's kind of all up in the air. But when we have something concrete, we will get back to you. And yeah. So it's going to be fun. Lots of things to look forward to. And on that note, guys, let's switch up. So is there anything else that this week important or anything you want to highlight? Because I think we've been running overtime here.
One question in the live chat. Any release date for Evolution? Yeah. Let me copy paste the roadmap right in there. Let me do a link.
Oh yeah, sorry. URL links are a bit taboo. Right, for YouTube, stopping spam. So why don't you go to the Dashforce News website and search Dash Roadmap? Joelle did an article covering it with all the links to all the information, and also there's some really cool news articles on there as well. You should check it out.
And what's the URL again? Is that dashforcenews.com?
Yeah,
and also,
and there's a business directory as well, discover-dash.com, full of all Dash merchants with an
discover-dash.com. Love it.
Yes, 282 businesses around the world listed right now that take Dash. It's not bad.
Yep, and and also, you can get a Dash debit card.
If you haven't read it, the article that you did with Scott Farnsworth about the pilot that he took for a fly. Oh my God, man. Yeah, touched my heart deeply, Scott. I was in tears, buddy. I'm excited to shake your hand when we eventually get to meet. I think you are doing fantastic work for Dash. I think I am so in love with Dash Force One, and I just got to say a big thanks for you for doing that, and then telling us about it, because you got to tell us stuff like that. Those are such great stories.
Yeah, we've got to give credit to Joe Moreka for that. I didn't even, literally, he kind of had that in the bag. I've read on the website and draft for since Tuesday, and I saw it. It's such a feel-good article. I love getting news stories like that. It's like #DashFeels. Beautiful story. Yes, go to the website, check it out if you've not seen it. It's excellent. So yeah, well done, Joe, as well, for writing it. If you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, folks.
Is that it? Or someone's going to take us away?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, guys, thanks for tuning in, watching another Dashforce News for Amigos podcast. This was episode 13, 14 now.
13, I think. Yeah.
13. Lucky number 13, eh? So, fortunately, touch wood, everything has gone to plan. So, yes, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Also share it with your friends and family. Let's get the message out there. And we'll see you next week. Same Dash time, same Dash channel. Don't go anywhere. Okay?
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Brian, bye.
Peace.
Hey, there we go. Laters. Stay dashy.